Hello and welcome to Dean Park Station. This is the first model review of 2018. I've not done a model review in several months, purely down to the fact that I've not been buying any new locomotives. I've been saving up and waiting for some releases in 2018. These include the Bachmann Class 90, some limited edition Class 47s and the Hornby Class 87, along with some new rolling stock in the way of the Bachmann Mark IIF ScotRail coaches and blue-grey coaches, and the Oxford Mark III's. So all these will be coming on stream this year hopefully, and will be featuring at Dean Park. The model in front of you is a Bachmann Class 47, and it's a limited edition from Kernow Model Rail Centre, and it's limited to 512 pieces, and its code is 31653Z. Before I go and talk about the actual model, I'd like to cover some of the background in the Class 47/7 subclass. In the late 1970s, the BR authorities decided that the current workings of Class 27s on push-pull duty between Edinburgh, Waverley and Glasgow Queen Street was not going to be sustainable. At the time, the Class 27s worked in almost a sandwich formation with a loco each end with the coaches in between. This negated the need for turning round of locos and shunting at each end of the line. In order to replace these, the BR authorities came up with the 47/7 subclass, and these were 47/4s converted by using time division multiplexing, which allowed the train to be in a set formation, in this case with Mark IIIA coaches and a Mark II coach at the far end, which was a brake standard open, and they converted it into a DBSO, which is a driving brake. And this allowed the TDM facility allowed the driver at the other end of the train to control the locomotive. So the locomotive was happy pulling or pushing the train formation between the two cities. Usually what happened in operation is that the loco would lead from Glasgow to Edinburgh, and then the loco would push from Edinburgh to Glasgow, but there were obviously alterations on this at times. It was also expanded to Glasgow to Aberdeen services, and a further 4 locomotives were converted in this 47/7 subclass. These locos were also maintained to operate at 100 miles an hour, which is quicker than the standard Class 47. These operated from 1980 right the way through to the very late 80s, when they were displaced by sprinter units and the locos were sent down to the Network South East region, and that is how the loco in front of you is presented. It's in a very, very battered, worn and run down blue striped ScotRail with paint chippings on the stripes and cab sides. The orange can trail is very worn, and it looks pretty worn out, to be honest. And that is the way that ScotRail, handed them over to Network South East. They were pretty clapped out by the time they were sent south. The model is standard Bachmann Class 47, which is no bad thing. It's a well detailed model. It's got etched radiator grills on the roof. It's got fine detail on the cab ends. It's got a well detailed cab interior. The bogies are convincing. The buffer beam detail, which comes separately in a pack, which isn't fitted, is realistic, and it's also been weathered, which is a really nice touch. So Kernow, again, I've got to be commended for ensuring the smaller details are taken care of. It is a niche model in all respects, because there was only a dozen or so converted into ScotRail livery for the push-pulls, and these obviously then went to the Network South East. So for Kernow to take on this model was quite brave, and they've got to be congratulated for doing that. They've produced an absolute cracker of a limited edition here. I'm not usually one for factory weathered finishes. I feel they're too bland and too samey, but this one is an exception. This is probably the best factory weathered loco I've seen. Hence it's the first factory finished one I've added to my layout. The body side paint appears to be flaky and chippy on even the upper areas, The blue stripe has been, given a right good wearing down, and it looks really like it could do a clean and two, a paint job. The ScotRail legend's been removed from the side of the locomotive, but they've left the Eastfield Scotty Dog and the Haymarket Castle emblem in place. The orange Cantrail stripe is visible in some areas, it's covered in dirt in some, and it's just flaked off in others. If I turn it round so you can see the front of the locomotive, you'll see that the Network South East flashes have been added between the marker lights. We've also got the windscreen wiper marks there to show that it's been obviously wiped clear of the muck, and that's a really nice touch. The cab roof is manky, which was the case with the ScotRail ones. I mean, the ScotRail 47-7s were hammered between the routes, between the two cities, and obviously in Glasgow and then Aberdeen. They were almost run to the ground. And the time Network South East got them, I'm surprised they lasted as long as they did. This particular locomotive being cut up in 1995, so it didn't last particularly long after moving down south. The buffers have been weathered. The jumper cables there, which is the TDM cables, are black. If you buy an unweathered version of the 47-7, they appear orange. This is actually a lot better looking. I know it's supposed to convey muck. The two ends of the jumpers are supposed to be orange, but again, they were so manky and dirty you wouldn't have noticed if they were orange or not. And I think that would be nitpicking to say that should have been picked out. This is, in all stretches of the model imagination, an absolute corker of a loco. If I move round to the other side, it's the same kind of weathering applied. You can tell a 47-7 by the detail here, which again has been weathered down. It was white when it was ex-works, but it didn't remain white for long, as you can understand. These locos weren't washed often. And then we go right round to the number 2 end, which again has been treated to the same level of detail. The cabby rails that actually don't appear on the standard Bachmann 47-7 releases from ScotRail. This is the first one I've got with a cabby rail on it, which dates it to later in the ScotRail operation. So there we have it. That's your Bachmann 31653Z limited edition from Kernow Model Rail Centre. If you model ScotRail or late ScotRail into the late 80s, 90s, you could have this in your layout. If you model Network South East, it's a certainty that it should be on your layout for the same kind of period, 1990, 1995-ish. If you don't model Network South East, you don't model ScotRail, it's still an absolute cracking model, and I would fully recommend it. I'll give you some running shots on the layout now. I'll go away and fit some buffer beam detail as well. That's the buffer beam detail fit, as you can see. I've also run the locomotive in on the rolling road, and it's now ready for the layout. I like to run it in on 12 volt DC for half an hour in each direction prior to fitting the decoder. It's just to let the motor bed in before you put it under DCC power. Before I let you see 47706 working on the layout, I'll give you a very brief history of its life in the Network South East region. It was transferred to Old Oak Common in July 91, and it replaced the Class 50s working out of London Paddington and Waterloo. It worked these services for the next couple of years until the end of local hauled services, where it was transferred to crew diesel and allocated to the parcels sector. It was withdrawn in May 95, and it was cut up in August that year. So unfortunately this one didn't make it into preservation. you've enjoyed this video, why don't you check out one of my earlier videos? Or if you want to see something from the Network South East region, click on Richard from Everard Junction's video. The link will be at the right hand side of the screen.